The bond market just won't make it. Really? Do you know what that means? It means that bond assets, especially government bonds, are assets that everyone used to believe were stable, safe. They were a safe haven. And since everyone believed they were safe, it means there are people who put all their money, their whole lives, even entire countries and their citizens into government bonds. So if they collapse, oh wow, whatever happens will affect everything and everyone who ever put their lives or money into them. In this clip, so let's ask ourselves, how much do you still trust government money? You can support the information in this video by scanning this QR code, or you can support the Sci Money Monster channel easily. Just watch until the end. That's already super happy for us. Or you can hit subscribe for us. Just once per person is enough. Thank you. And if I just came out and said the bond market is about to do something, of course, I wouldn't be saying that myself. These are actually the words of Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Chase & Company. He's the guy managing assets worth around $4 trillion. And he straight up said that we're going to see cracks in the bond market. It's going to happen. And I'm telling you, you're all going to experience it and be shocked. Listen to this.
Equities bond market's good, right? Towers during regulation, oil, mountains sold, gold and Pana.
The main reason why the US bond market could potentially collapse is because of excessive borrowing. The amount of interest that comes with these loans is so high that even the world's #1 economy, like the United States, might not be able to pay it. Elon Musk has even come out and said that the interest that the United States has to pay each year is even more than the US military budget. Elon Musk said that just the interest payments alone leave no money for anything else. Now, let's listen to what he had to say.
The payment is hard and tough to bear, and if this continues, it'll be a burden or even a threat to the country's finances.
And when we talk about the bond market crashing, it's not just the United States that's affected. Countries with huge businesses, especially in Asia like Japan, are also seeing their bond markets take a hit. Japan's 30-year government bonds, for example, have lost almost half their value. If you count from 2019 onwards, the value has dropped by about 45%. This has caused the yield, or the return on Japan's 30-year government bonds, to jump by 100 basis points. That's a full 1% increase. When bond yields go up, it means prices are falling, right? So people who bought in earlier, especially those who bought a lot, they're going to take a big loss. This situation has led the largest insurance company in Japan to officially announce that it has taken an accounting loss of $60 billion due to Japanese government bonds. And the United States isn't doing any better. The 10-year US government bond, which used to yield just 1%, now has a yield of 5%. What does that mean? It means the price of those bonds has plummeted. To explain, for those who might not understand, with government bonds, if a lot of people want them, they don't have to offer much interest, so the bond price is high. But if there's a time when people don't want bonds, they have to entice buyers, right? They do that by raising the yield, increasing the return. And when that happens, the price of the bond drops. So people who bought bonds back when yields were low and prices were high, if they keep holding on to them and yields keep going up, the price of their bonds keeps dropping and dropping. That's why these assets, which are on the balance sheets of companies or financial institutions, end up showing accounting losses. Get it? And the result comes back to the bond issuer, which is the government, because the government issues the bonds, right? But with the new issues, the interest rates keep getting higher and higher. So people start to wonder, with interest rates this high, will they really be able to pay back all that debt, both principal and interest? It's a lot. And if more and more people start to doubt, like, hey, these yields are way too high, there must be a risk they can't pay, then that just makes bond prices drop even more. And the problem is, these government bonds, whether from the US or anywhere else, whether they're from America or Japan, they're not just held domestically in Japan or the US, they're all over the world. Central banks from different countries, major financial institutions, banks, even small companies and individuals all hold them. So if bond prices drop a lot, all these institutions I just mentioned will face accounting losses. Now, accounting losses by themselves aren't a problem until they become a problem. That is, until people start to doubt and say, hey, are you sure these accounting losses won't actually hurt you? For example, if we're talking about a bank and people start thinking, wait, you have a lot of accounting losses. I'd better hurry up and withdraw my money first. That's when panic sets in. Everyone rushes to pull out their money, and that bank ends up facing a bank run. And once a bank run happens, it collapses. I actually talked in detail about Japan's situation and Japanese bonds in this video, Japan, the Next Global Crisis, so you can check that out. Right now, the situation is pretty nerve-wracking and scary because whether it's US bonds or Japanese bonds, they're both competing to offer really high yields. And if you look at the debt situation in both countries combined, the US has debt at over 120% of its GDP, while Japan's debt is over 230% of its GDP. If you add those together, we don't even know what kind of disaster could come out of this. What's happening with these two giants is like a warning shout, maybe even a scream, that if the bond market really does collapse, especially in major countries like the US and Japan, the global financial system could fall apart. And even if it hasn't collapsed yet, just the hint that the bond market is starting to go bad, just the signs that there's a chance of default, that alone is enough to shake investor confidence, even just rattling their nerves. That's all it takes to shake their faith. Once confidence is shaken, the demand for bonds drops even further. And as demand for bonds falls, bond yields have to rise. When bond yields go up, it increases the financial burden on the government, which now has to pay higher interest. That, in turn, raises the risk that the government might default on its debt, making investors even more fearful. It becomes a vicious cycle that could lead to a total collapse. And if anyone says, hey, the US economy isn't doing well, is it really that bad? Because if you look at the unemployment rate, it's actually not that bad. Even though a lot of people still have jobs, the government isn't collecting much in taxes, and its revenue is low compared to its huge expenses. Let's look at this chart. The red line shows the unemployment rate, and the blue line shows the amount of money the government spends. Normally, you'll notice that these two lines, the red and the blue, tend to move together. For example, when more people are employed, the government doesn't have to pay out as much in welfare. So tax collection rises, so revenue increases. When more people work, the blue line goes up and stays positive. But during high unemployment, government expenses rise. With higher costs and less tax, the deficit grows and the budget goes into the red. Right now, unemployment isn't high. See, the red line shows it's not that low. But why are expenses so high? These lines just diverged and went their separate ways. So now the government budget deficit has reached 6%, and there are even forecasts that it will hit 7% next year. This means that even though a lot of people are still employed, the government isn't collecting much in taxes and is spending a lot. More importantly, they're borrowing a huge amount, borrowing as if the country's in a crisis, even though it's not. Doing this is like using emergency tools meant for a real crisis, even though the country isn't actually in trouble or showing any symptoms. So this kind of thing will lead to what you'd call a resistance to treatment. If the United States were to face a financial crisis right now, honestly, the aggressive borrowing strategy wouldn't work anymore. So it goes back to the cycle I just mentioned. When investors start to see that, hey, the government is borrowing a lot, and with the budget deficit, they're borrowing even more, they'll start to think there's a real chance the government might default on its debt. As a result, bond yields will rise even further, which leads to higher interest rates and increased government expenses. And the likelihood that the government won't be able to pay back its debt keeps increasing, making investors even more worried, and the cycle repeats. The real disaster would be if the bond market collapses. Another issue is what could happen to American citizens who are about to retire. Let's take a look at this chart, the Social Security Trust Fund, which shows how much money the government has set aside to pay for Americans' retirement benefits in the future. You'll see that. So it started from around zero back in the 1980s, and then it grew the most around 2017. At that time, there was about $3 trillion. But now it's started to decline, and it's dropping fast. There's a trend that this fund might run out within 10 years. One of the main reasons is the baby boomers, the generation with the highest birth rate. Millions of baby boomers have already retired. And when millions of people retire like that, of course, the government has to support them, and it's this fund that's used to do that. But the problem is the newer generations have fewer people being born, so the number of people working to support the baby boomers just isn't enough. And what's more important is that the money that was collected from taxes back when the baby boomers were working and put into this fund, they invested it. but they invested it in US government bonds, which they used to believe were assets you could really trust. So whether US government bonds remain stable or collapse has become a major factor affecting the retirement lives of millions of Americans in the near future. And with a shrinking population, more elderly people, and less tax revenue, it's clear that the problems of rising expenses, budget deficits, and overwhelming debt aren't just temporary issues. It's a deep-seated structural demographic problem, which is also tied to the very structure of the economy. And if anyone has ever wondered, hey, is the government bond system a massive global Ponzi scheme? Well, I'm not saying that myself, but I actually came across this fascinating idea in a book called Broken Money by Lyn Alden. In this book, Lyn Alden refers to the government bond system as a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid scheme, because the economic system we live in today relies on taking on new debt to pay off old debt using a government tool called government bonds. If you look at this chart, the blue line represents debt, and the orange line represents base money. Base money is the actual money in the system, including money that has already been printed. The higher the blue line is compared to the orange line, the greater the level of debt or leverage. Let's take a closer look. Ultimately, what we see today is that in the United States, if we talk about public debt, yes, it's about $36 trillion. But if you include household debt and private corporate debt, it totals $104 trillion. This means the leverage, or the degree of indebtedness in the United States today, is higher than in any previous crisis. And because this financial system relies on taking on new debt to pay off old debt in order to keep the economy running, so the system can keep moving forward. Therefore, any serious attempt to reduce debt carries the risk of systemic collapse. And if you say, okay, instead of borrowing, why not just print more money? Is that a good idea? All I can say is, if you print too much money, it turns into what's called easy money, or money that's too easy to come by. Throughout world history, ever since money has existed, every currency, every denomination, and every empire that has collapsed, most of them did so because of this. From easy money, or money that's just too easy to create. That's right. In history, whenever any country or empire has had easy money, it always ends in ruin. Ray Dalio talks about the events happening right now in the bond market, saying that bondholders are the ones who will get hurt the most. They think they're holding valuable assets, but in reality, they might not be. Dalio also says that money itself won't become worthless as long as people all across the world still believe it has value. So the question today is, how much do you still believe that the money issued by our governments actually holds any real value anymore?